was memorizing every word. Over 5 years, Lionel became the father I never had. He paid for my nursing degree. He set up a trust for Soleil's education. He never once made me feel like charity. He said I reminded him of who his daughter might have become. 8 months ago, Lionel died in his sleep. I sat on my kitchen floor and cried for an hour. A week later, I was in a lawyer's office surrounded by people in suits. The lawyer read the will and my hands went numb. Lionel left me controlling interest in his company, his real estate portfolio, his investments, everything. But there was one more thing. A sealed envelope with my name in his handwriting. Inside was a letter and a flash drive. The letter said, "I had your parents investigated when you told me what they did. What I found was worse than abandonment. Use this when you're ready." I plugged in the drive after Soleil was asleep. Financial records, tax documents, bank statements going back years. My parents had been claiming me as a dependent on their taxes for 6 years after kicking me out. They collected stimulus checks in my name during the pandemic. They opened credit cards using my social security number and ran up $47,000 in debt that had been destroying my credit score the entire time I was living in my car. That's why every apartment application got rejected. That's why I couldn't get approved for a loan or even a basic phone plan. My own parents were stealing my identity while I slept in a parking lot with their granddaughter. There were also emails about insurance policies using fraudulent appraisals. Everything was documented with timestamps. I filed a detailed report with the FBI that same afternoon and handed over copies of the entire drive. 3 months later, federal agents knocked on my parents' door at 6 in the morning the same way debt collectors had knocked on mine when the fraudulent bills came due. My dad was charged with identity theft, tax fraud, and insurance fraud. My mom was charged as an accomplice. Their assets were frozen, their house was seized, and their retirement accounts were locked pending investigation. My dad called me from a holding cell. First time he'd spoken to me in 8 years. His voice was shaking. "How could you do this to your own family?" I looked at Soleil doing homework at the kitchen table in the house Lionel's generosity built. "You stopped being my family the night you changed the locks." Soleil looked up from her worksheet. "Who was that?" "Nobody. Finish your homework."